For the past few days, the internet has been consumed by one baffling question. What has happened to Jim Carrey? Has he been replaced, or is he undergoing a transformation so profound that it's almost unrecognizable? Some say it's just another celebrity midlife crisis, while others suspect something far deeper. But here's the truth most people are missing. Carrey has been signaling this all along, dropping hints about secrets hidden in plain sight. Secrets that tie his real life to a nearly 30-year-old film that was far more than a story, The Truman Show. In recent days, the internet has been consumed by one perplexing and persistent question. What has truly happened to Jim Carrey? The 62-year-old actor, whose career spans more than 3 decades and includes some of the most iconic comedies in modern Hollywood history, suddenly looks and behaves in ways that many fans find unfamiliar. Has he been replaced? Has he undergone an intense personal evolution? Or is this simply another glimpse into the strange, elevated world that Hollywood celebrities occupy? A world the rest of us can barely begin to understand. Ever since Carrey's widely discussed public appearances in the mid-2020s, especially his controversial moment at the Caesar Awards, where he delivered a speech that many described as obscure and symbolic, online speculation has surged. Social media metrics show spikes in searches related to his name, with Google Trends indicating a more than 300% increase in inquiries about Jim Carrey transformation in just the past 2 weeks. Twitter threads, YouTube deep dives, and TikTok theories now number in the hundreds of thousands. Despite this frenzy of speculation, most observers fail to notice something crucial. Jim Carrey has been subtly signaling shifts in philosophy, identity, and worldview for years. Long before the most recent headlines, he used interviews, talk show appearances, and even his artistic work to explore topics far beyond typical celebrity banter. From spirituality and existentialism to metaphysical exploration and self-identity. These signals aren't random. They form a pattern that many fans and commentators have only recently begun to piece together. Carrey's public evolution isn't happening in a vacuum. It parallels a broader cultural trend. According to a 2024 Pew Research Center report, more than 40% of adults in the United States say they have questioned traditional religious beliefs in the past decade, with growing interest in alternative philosophies and spiritual frameworks. Carrey is not alone in exploring deeper meaning, but the way he has done it, in public and in bits and pieces over time, has created a narrative arc that now has millions watching, analyzing, and wondering what it all means. Nearly 30 years ago, in 1998, The Truman Show premiered, directed by Peter Weir and starring a then-rising Jim Carrey. On the surface, it was a seemingly simple story. A man unknowingly living his entire life as the star of a reality television show. Yet beneath its cinematic polish lay a deeper, almost prophetic message, one that today sheds light on why Carrey himself seems so dramatically transformed. The film's exploration of constructed realities, surveillance, and the tension between freedom and control mirrors not just social anxieties of the late 20th century, but also the spiritual and psychological journeys that Carrey would later openly discuss. For viewers who truly engage with the movie, it offers more than entertainment. It's an allegory for awakening. Watching Truman navigate the artificial world of Seahaven, I was suddenly struck by a profound sense of liberation, a feeling of freedom that transcended fear, responsibility, and the invisible constraints of everyday life. In that instant, I felt larger than my own body, larger than my daily struggles, larger than the sum of my experiences. I wasn't just an individual navigating the universe. I was part of the universe itself. It's a sensation that is hard to quantify, yet it is echoed in studies of transformative cinematic experiences. Research from the Journal of Media Psychology, 2017, shows that deeply immersive films can trigger what psychologists call transportation experiences, moments where viewers feel entirely absorbed and emotionally aligned with the story, sometimes leading to lasting shifts in perspective. In that moment, as I absorbed Truman's struggle and small victories, I understood the kind of radical self-awareness that Carrey has alluded to in interviews about mindfulness, presence, and spiritual exploration. Since that day, I have been chasing that same feeling of expansive freedom, a liberation from the invisible cages of thought and expectation that the world places upon us. And as Carrey's own life unfolds publicly, from his candid interviews to symbolic appearances, the parallels between the journey of Truman Burbank and the actor himself become increasingly striking. The Truman Show was never just a film. It was a blueprint, a mirror reflecting the hidden dimensions of consciousness and the transformative paths that even Hollywood's brightest stars may walk. The Truman Show follows Jim Carrey in one of his most iconic and transformative roles as Truman Burbank, a man whose entire life has been meticulously scripted and broadcast to the world without his knowledge. From the moment of his birth, every smile, every gesture, every personal triumph or failure has been captured and transmitted to a global audience of millions, turning Truman into both the subject and the spectacle of a life he never chose. The town of Seahaven, with its perfect streets, cheerful neighbors, and idyllic scenery, is a constructed stage, designed to appear flawless while subtly controlling every aspect of Truman's existence. To Truman, this is the only reality he has ever known, an ordinary life governed by familiar faces, routines, and rules. But to the viewers outside, he is not a man at all. He is entertainment, a living experiment in control and illusion. The juxtaposition is jarring. While Truman experiences life in vivid human immediacy, the audience consumes it like a product, laughing, empathizing, or judging without recognizing the profound ethical and philosophical questions it raises. This duality, between perceived reality and external manipulation, mirrors larger societal questions about surveillance, media influence, and the ways our own lives are subtly shaped by systems we barely notice. Truman grows up in Seahaven, a picture-perfect town where every street, every shop, and every smiling neighbor is part of a carefully constructed illusion. Every interaction is orchestrated, every face familiar yet subtly artificial, and every moment meticulously scripted to maintain the illusion of normalcy. It is a world designed to feel safe, comforting, and predictable, yet beneath its pristine surface lies a cage of control. The first crack in this carefully maintained facade appears in the form of a falling studio light, a seemingly small, almost accidental event, yet one that carries immense significance. For Truman, it is a jarring anomaly, a momentary glimpse behind the curtain that begins to unravel the reality he has always trusted. The perfection of Seahaven suddenly feels fragile, and the invisible boundaries that have constrained his life start to reveal themselves. As Truman becomes aware that something is deeply wrong, he begins to push against the invisible limits imposed upon him. Each attempt to explore the truth is met with obstacles. The actors, the staged accidents, and the carefully timed diversions all act as guardians of the illusion, designed to keep him trapped. The tension escalates with each failed attempt, highlighting the oppressive yet subtle control exerted by the system, and marking the beginning of Truman's awakening, a journey from naivety towards self-realization, courage, and ultimately, liberation. Eventually, Truman realizes that brute force or rebellion alone cannot free him. The only path to liberation is through cleverness, through understanding the system that confines him and using it against itself. He studies the patterns of his life, noting the predictable routines and repeated behaviors that the studio staff rely upon to control him. With meticulous strategy, he exploits these patterns, setting up distractions, creating diversions, and manipulating the very people who have kept him imprisoned since birth. By the time the control room fully comprehends his actions, Truman is already pushing toward the horizon, sailing across the open water, climbing the staircase to the exit, and stepping into the world beyond the dome for the first time. A world that is genuinely real, unscripted, and alive. On the surface, this may appear to be a simple story of escape, a satisfying conclusion to a fictional narrative. But beneath its cinematic layers lies a far deeper, esoteric meaning. The Truman Show is, in essence, a blueprint for an ancient spiritual system known as Gnosticism, a philosophical and mystical tradition that draws on creation myth and metaphysical teachings about the nature of reality. According to Gnostic belief, the material world is not the manifestation of a true divine source, but a carefully constructed prison, a matrix designed to trap the human soul in illusion and ignorance. In this framework, the Demiurge, sometimes called Yaldabaoth, is the false god who rules this prison, crafting and maintaining a world that distracts and ensnares humanity. In Truman's story, Christof, the omnipotent director who observes and manipulates every aspect of his life, functions as a direct allegory for this figure. Christof controls Truman's environment, engineers his relationships, and dictates his experiences, much like the Demiurge, who Gnostics believe imposes rules, limitations, and illusions on the human spirit for its own purposes. Truman's journey is therefore more than a tale of personal rebellion. It is an allegorical awakening, a step-by-step depiction of how one might recognize the illusions around them and ultimately transcend them. The ultimate aim of Gnosticism is the attainment of gnosis, a profound, transformative awakening in which the spirit recognizes the illusory nature of its surroundings and begins the journey back to the ultimate source of all creation. In this belief system, Jesus is not worshipped as a deity in the conventional sense, but revered as a guide, a teacher showing humanity the path to liberation from the false constraints of the material world. The Truman Show mirrors this spiritual framework almost perfectly. Every character embodies an archetype of the Gnostic journey. Truman himself represents the human spirit, trapped yet capable of awakening. Christof, the omnipotent director, embodies the false god or Demiurge, orchestrating the artificial world to maintain control. And Sylvia reflects Sophia, the divine spark, reaching out to guide Truman toward the truth. Even the citizens of Seahaven play a symbolic role, acting as archons, agents of the Demiurge whose task is to prevent the soul from realizing its captivity. Truman's awakening unfolds in distinct stages, each reflecting a deeper layer of awareness. The first stage is realization, the moment he begins to notice cracks in his carefully constructed reality. Sylvia's warnings, delivered in secret, coupled with the dramatic fall of a studio light from the sky, serve as catalysts for his consciousness. This mirrors the Gnostic myth of Sophia descending from the heavens to awaken humanity to the truth. At first, the archons, Seahaven's obedient inhabitants, block Sylvia's attempts, ensuring that Truman remains unaware. Yet the falling light triggers a memory, a moment of recognition, and suddenly her warnings crystallize into understanding. The second stage is clarification. Now conscious of the prison around him, Truman begins testing its boundaries, attempting daring escapes by car and plane, only to be repeatedly thwarted by the system. Each obstacle teaches him the rules of his artificial world, allowing him to learn, adapt, and prepare for a strategy that will finally outwit his captors. These trials are not merely narrative tension. They symbolize the spiritual discipline and understanding required to navigate the illusions that bind the human spirit. Through each failure and each revelation, Truman moves closer to gnosis, the knowledge that will allow him to transcend the false world entirely and step into reality for the first time. Finally, after a journey of subtle realizations, repeated trials, and painstaking observation, Truman confronts his deepest fears and outsmarts the very forces that have sought to control him his entire life. In this climactic moment, he sails across the waters of the artificial world, navigating toward the horizon where the dome of Seahaven ends. Ascending the stairs that lead beyond the fabricated sky, he comes face to face with the Demiurge, Christof, the ultimate manipulator of his reality. The door at the edge of the dome is not merely a physical exit. It is a powerful symbol, representing the tearing away of illusion, the revelation of ultimate truth, and the triumph of an awakened spirit over the constraints imposed by deception. This sequence is far more than a cinematic spectacle. Every detail echoes the stages of the Gnostic path: the crumbling of false heavens, the revelation of hidden light, and the soul's passage from ignorance into knowledge. The horizon that Truman reaches is not just a boundary of his fictional town. It is a metaphorical threshold of consciousness, marking the moment when the spirit recognizes the illusions that have bound it and steps into the freedom of authentic existence. In this act, Truman embodies the Gnostic ideal. He has achieved gnosis, glimpsed the divine source, and reclaimed his own autonomy, illuminating the path for all who seek awakening beyond the confines of their own constructed realities. Jim Carrey himself has openly discussed his engagement with Gnostic-inspired practices, revealing a deep fascination with spiritual awakening and the transformative potential of the human mind and body. In interviews, he has referenced alchemy, the pursuit of spiritual ascension, and the esoteric symbolism of Jesus, not as a deity to worship, but as an archetype of enlightenment and gnosis. Carrey has spoken about the significance of the 33 vertebrae in the human spine, aligning them symbolically with the 33 years of Jesus' life, and described the ascent of spiritual essence along this axis, a journey of transformation from material confinement to higher consciousness. These insights are more than abstract philosophy. They mirror the allegorical path portrayed in The Truman Show. Just as Truman navigates the artificial boundaries of Seahaven to reach awareness and liberation, Carrey explores these symbolic and mystical frameworks as a map F, or personal and spiritual evolution. The parallels are striking. The fictional journey of Truman's spirit reflects Carrey's own pursuit of gnosis, where the ultimate goal is not fame or performance, but a profound awakening to truth, consciousness, and self-realization. Viewed through this esoteric lens, Jim Carrey's real-life transformations, most notably his striking appearance at the Caesar Awards, cannot be dismissed as mere stunts, eccentricities, or publicity-seeking antics. Rumors swirled online about a possible doppelganger or a makeup artist impersonating him, but these claims were thoroughly debunked. Both Carrey's own team and the event organizers confirmed unequivocally that it was indeed him. In reality, his appearance was a deliberate, public demonstration of the culmination of his spiritual journey, a moment where private work became visible for those attuned to its symbolism. Within Gnostic thought, the attainment of gnosis is said to transform not only the spirit, but also the physical body, revealing the outward signs of inner evolution. Carrey's reference to squaring the circle during his acceptance speech is steeped in alchemical meaning, representing the union of the physical and spiritual realms, the completion of the great work. By invoking this ancient symbol, he was sending a coded message to those who understand the esoteric language. His spiritual journey had reached its apex, a merging of material existence with transcendent consciousness. While mainstream media speculated wildly, missing the hidden significance, the truth is clear. This was not a performance for the masses. It was a deliberate, symbolic unveiling of a deeply personal and transformative process, one that echoes the very allegorical journey Truman undertakes on screen. Jim Carrey's journey offers a rare glimpse into how Gnostic principles are subtly woven into the very fabric of Hollywood. The Truman Show was never merely a film. It functioned as an initiation, a symbolic map of spiritual knowledge disguised as popular entertainment. Carrey's actions, questioning the rituals of the red carpet, declaring that he doesn't exist, and embodying the archetype of Christ, were not acts of rebellion against the industry, as many speculated but deliberate expressions of Gnostic teachings. The pursuit of awakening, the responsibility to guide others toward insight, and the courage to reveal the illusions that dominate ordinary life. When Carrey states that Jim Carrey doesn't exist, he is not being evasive or cryptic. He is conveying a fundamental Gnostic truth. The ego, the identity we cling to, and the world we perceive are all illusions constructed to distract and confine the spirit. His references to Jesus are equally symbolic, pointing not to a deity to be worshipped, but to the archetype of the awakened guide, the spiritual teacher who illuminates the path toward liberation. Carrey's filmography, from The Truman Show to In Time, is imbued with this hidden language, planting subtle seeds of awakening in audiences and inviting viewers to recognize the spiritual journey concealed within stories that, on the surface, seem ordinary or merely entertaining. The Gnostic symbolism embedded in Hollywood is far from accidental. It is deliberate, precise, and recurring. Across films and public appearances, motifs of false gods, archons, the illusory matrix, and the arduous path to awakening appear again and again, inviting those who are observant to look deeper. In The Truman Show, Christof's hidden control room inside the moon is not just a creative flourish. It is a symbolic representation of the Demiurge's observation station, a vantage point from which the false god oversees humanity, maintaining the illusion and controlling the movements of the spirit from the heights of the firmament. Similarly, the falling studio light is more than a cinematic device. It symbolizes the intrusion of the true light, knowledge, piercing through the carefully constructed illusion, awakening awareness in those who are perceptive enough to notice it. Jim Carrey's career mirrors this esoteric mission. His films, interviews, and public actions are not merely performances or eccentricities. They are coded signals, deliberate enactments of spiritual principles designed to convey the hidden truths of Gnosticism. The Truman Show was never simply entertainment. It was a meticulously crafted message, a public record of a spiritual journey, one that few are capable of recognizing without understanding the deeper symbolic framework that underlies both the film and Carrey's life. The Truman Show stands as more than a film. It is a cautionary tale, a spiritual guide, and a revelation wrapped in the guise of entertainment. Hollywood continues to weave these messages into the fabric of popular culture, planting subtle seeds in the collective consciousness. Through carefully crafted films, interviews, and public appearances, the industry exposes hidden truths that often go unnoticed by those who accept the surface reality without question. Yet these messages are there for those willing to look, to see the cracks in the constructed world around them, and to confront the illusions that shape perception. True enlightenment, however, is not found in wealth, fame, surgical transformation, or even secret knowledge. It is found in recognizing a fundamental truth: we are not gods, and we were never meant to be. The pursuit of power, status, or esoteric mastery cannot replace the deeper understanding that liberation comes from seeing clearly, knowing oneself, and discerning the difference between illusion and reality. For those willing to take the journey further, to explore Jim Carrey's engagement with Gnostic teachings and the hidden systems behind his transformation, the path has only just begun. Watch closely, observe with discernment, and question what is presented as real. Notice the subtle fractures in the dome, the moments where the facade falters, and perhaps, with patience and insight, glimpse a reality that exists beyond the illusion, a reality where the spirit is free, awakened, and whole. If you want to dive deeper into the hidden systems behind Hollywood, explore Jim Carrey's esoteric path, and uncover the messages that mainstream media refuses to touch. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Comment below with your thoughts. What cracks in the dome have you noticed? And if enough of you are curious, I'll make the next video exposing even more Gnostic symbolism in the films you thought you knew. Stay alert, stay questioning, and never stop seeking the truth.